in the back of the Venturi as well. So we see Mitch Evans going through in the Jaguar. Track will look a lot different again in the daylight to at night. You know, the shadows, the lights provide and everything. It's a different thing to get used to. We're talking about different things in qualifying coming up this afternoon. They're going to, in the group qualifying, they run at race power 220 kilowatts. Then they go into the dual stages and it goes up to 250. So they're constantly having to adjust their sight lines and their rhythms and just what the car feels like in qualifying.
Evans, fastest in the first sector, but he's the first driver through the first sector. Some of the drivers yesterday, when it came to sort of race running, they did about 3 laps in practice 1 and 2. They did about 3 laps of actual sort of lift and coast practice, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I was expecting a lot more, because obviously, yeah, it's one thing qualifying up front, but if you do what the Porsche guys did and head to the back, it's not. The points are paid for the race, so that was a bit surprising. I think we'll see a lot more race running today, because there's, you know, obviously the energy saving is so important. We see the Envision cars on screen. There's Robin Freins, who got a penalty yesterday for his move on Oliver Rowland. Oliver Rowland got a grid penalty for today's race for his move on Robin Freins, so I don't think either of them are very happy there.
Cassidy finished in the points in 7th position, picked up the fastest lap as well. So he got a point for that, the first fastest lap of his Formula E career.
Dun, dun, dun. But fastest laps, pole positions, group qualify, or the extra points, sorry, those are going to be important as the season goes on, as close as it's going to be, especially with this new qualifying format amongst the top runners and riders. You're really going to have to, I think those extra bonus points, call them, could make the difference at the end of the season between winning the championship and not.
Here is Cassidy making his way up the hill. Never quite. He sort of had a quiet race, didn't he, in that 7th position. Robin Freins up ahead of him in the Envision, coming into 18 and 19. Through the right, through the left. I am, something I've just thought of. I'm not sure where the track limits end at 18 and 19.
There aren't any.
There aren't any. Yeah. Okay, fine. So if you go around the outside there, for example, you're not overtaking all 4 wheels off or anything like that. Another impressive driver yesterday was Oliver Askew. He's just gone 2nd quickest, and he picked up points. He started 17th on the grid in his debut, which was kind of about what you would expect, but I was not expecting the charge through the field to 9th.
No, I don't think he was either. I spoke to him last night, and let's hear what he says here.
Sector 2 okay-ish, so focus on Sector 1.
Good information from the engineer. Yeah, I think he was surprised. He enjoyed the race so much because he was able to save a little energy early on in the race, so he was able to feel a bit like Superman in the second half when he had that bit of energy in hand. He was able to stay on the throttle longer than the competition, and it was yeah, he really felt good about it. His smile last night said it all after the race, I think.
Lucas Di Grassi, 5th in the race yesterday after making his way through the field, and it's very fitting of Lucas Di Grassi to be in an all-black car with an all-black helmet, isn't it? The little flashes around it, and it makes the pride flag really pop, doesn't it, on the hoop above Di Grassi's head, which is something that Venturi are always very supportive of, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, it
across the line.
Absolutely does.
Across
that
the line
just
comes Di
looks
Grassi.
cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. Over the line now comes Jean-Eric Verne. And a difficult day yesterday for DS Techeetah. Verne did manage to climb up into 8th position, having only qualified Jean-Eric Verne 13th on the grid. So he made some progress, but they really need to. Both cars were basically hampered in qualifying by traffic, they claimed.
Absolutely. Jean-Eric Verne definitely was hampered in qualifying. He was.
Oh yeah, Verne was bad.
Didn't put it quite as politely as you did. Him about it, but
he didn't say, "Oh, Dario, I was slightly hampered."
I was slightly hampered, old son. No, that wasn't the way the conversation went. But yeah, he had a point, and that definitely, I think, really put him on the back foot for the race. Whereas Antonio Felix da Costa was out of the first corner. I mean, he got involved and it looked like 4 drivers trying to go into the space of 3 at the back of the field, broke his suspension, and he was the first guy out.
Someone's locked up coming into 18. You saw the smoke there. They've managed to get going back on their way. Looks as though it might have been an Envision car that's now making its way back into the pits. 23 minutes to go. The DS Techeetah team, there was a bit of a... it was Robin Freitz in that Envision. There's a bit of a, I don't know, discussion going on between the DS Techeetah and the FIA after the race yesterday. This is Lucas Di Grassi just meanwhile. The red light is on at the end of the pit lane, and out goes Di Grassi. You know, wow. So he's under investigation for that.
Hopefully there's more important things to look at than that.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to enter... I'll have to find the wording of the rule. I'm not sure if it's you're not allowed to enter the fast lane until the light goes green, or whether you're not allowed to leave the garage until the light goes green. Yeah,
but really, he didn't get any track position or anything, really.
Didn't he? Might have been one further out in the queue.
He stopped.
Oh, fine.
He backed off.
Bird now goes fastest on a 1 minute 8.8, so already the lap times are quite a bit quicker than yesterday.
So I guess the chain of communication last night, the driver comes in, sits down with the engineer starts talking to him, right, talk to me, what happened, how did it feel, what do you need? Then the engineers start looking at the data from the driving side, but also from the powertrain side, and then that then gets fed back. They try and, at the circuit, they try and come up with some answers. Then it gets fed back to the simulator for a lot of the teams. Then they try and, overnight, the simulator driver will be in there trying to find the most efficient setup for the car for today. And then they'll get back in this morning. The driver will show up, the engineers will have a chat and have a briefing, get in the car and see if all that hard work overnight worked.
De Vries across the line, currently 19th quickest. It's tougher when you've won the race though, right? To do that?
Yeah, well, there's always things you can learn.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Stoffel's engineer today, I'm going to be saying, Stoffel, let's just practice. I mean, seriously,
yeah, you've
got to be perfect. And these drivers, it's sort of an unfortunate part of the job, really. But even when you win, you'll be like, yeah, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better. I said it to you yesterday, Jack. If you stand still, you go backwards.
Yeah, you told me everything that could be better after the race. So Jack, this could be better. This could say, yeah, no, I'm trying my best.
I was talking about myself.
Here's Max Günther then, who is 12th yesterday in the Nissan. Failed to make up much progress. The Nissan looked. There was a little brief flash of pace from Sebastian Buemi. That's going to be what it will encourage Nissan. Günther's teammate. He nearly made it through into the knockout stages, and so we'll see whether Nissan can sort of repeat that today with either Günther or Buemi.
Yeah, there was that bizarre situation where Buemi was on a lap, and I don't know if he saw traffic ahead, but he backed off, and that lap would have put him into the top 4, got him into the duels.
And then he went again and was quicker in the first 2 sectors, but made a lock-up into turn 18 here.
Yeah, and that was it. I mean, what did he start 21st yesterday?
Yeah.
So tough day, as you see his teammate Max Günther coming into the pit lane. And if you have to use that pit lane during the race, you're either got a big mechanical problem or you've got a drive-through penalty. Either way, it's not looking so good for you.
20 minutes to go. Mortara quickest now, 1 minute 8.6. The lap times will continue to come down. Looks as though most of them are running at the moment in race mode. Here's Oliver Turvey. Again, tough day for the Neos yesterday. They have it's the same homologation as last year, so you can't bring a whole new powertrain. He said they've made some steps forward on the software, so they're hoping to be a bit more in the mix than they were last year, but I don't think they're under any illusions that it's going to be a tough season at Neo 333. But if anyone can pull a result out of nowhere, it's Oliver Turvey as he comes down towards turn 14 through the right-hander and out onto the little sort of back straight almost towards 15, 16 and 17.
His teammate Dan Tinkton was 18th yesterday, Oliver 19th, so it'd be interesting to see how that dynamic works. I think Tinkton's come in the team and said, look, no, this needs to be better. I mean, Oliver's been with the team a long time, and sometimes you can just get into a bit of a rut of the same, but Dan Tinkton's come in and said, yeah, let's work on this, and this. And then Oliver's got the technical know-how, I think, to put it more into words the engineers can work with.
I was just trying to remember what his degree from Cambridge is in.
The fact that he's got a degree from Cambridge
exactly.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't quite remember. I don't think it's mechanical engineering. It might be aerodynamics. I'll have a look at Wikipedia.
This is a fabulous shot. Let's just talk about this shot on the nose cam. But look how dark the rubber line is already. That's from yesterday's race.
Yeah. Bird coming into the pit lane now, and he is following Jake Dennis in, so everybody sort of approaching the halfway point of the session, making their way into the pits to maybe put on a new set of tyres. Van Dorn staying out there though, pole position, his 6th pole in Formula E yesterday, and he didn't practice attack mode that time.
No, he didn't, but you've got to say that Stoffel, yeah, okay, made the mistake yesterday, but he did have the pace advantage on his teammate Nick de Vries, so he's got to be still, he's got to be feeling a little bit down about the mistake, but he's thinking, okay, I can do this today. I can reverse the result.
Hazel, thank you very much, Hazel. It's aeronautical engineering that Oliver Turvey's degree is in. Thank you very much, Hazel. 18 minutes to go.
That's quite impressive, isn't it?
Exactly. Bird into the pit lane. Little change of tyres for the British driver.
Six front, 6 rear tyres for the double-header weekend. And in a single race weekend, like next round, it'll be 2 sets of front, 2 sets of rear.
Here's Sebastian Buemi, not pushing at the moment. And they're all going to be practicing there. In qualifying yesterday, lots of drivers did 2 runs. Lucas de Grassi stayed out the whole time. He went out on 1 set of tyres and just pounded round. And we'll see whether people take different strategies today or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Okay, what worked? What didn't work? Let's try. Oh, traffic jam.
Yeah, Giovinazzi's been caught out here, hasn't he? He's gone quite early with a full power practice, and he's been caught out behind well, it was Buemi and one of the Porsches, and he's now got a bit of clear air, but he's 1.3 seconds down. Looked like he would have lost a lot of time down that bobsleigh section as he comes up now towards turn 18. Qualified dead last yesterday, Giovinazzi, and finished dead last, but it is a big learning curve. He also, compared to the other rookies, I think he had 1 fewer day of testing in Valencia because he had to leave to go to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So, what was it, Saturday?
I think it was quite a shock to the system yesterday for Antonio. As much the energy saving required and that style of driving in the race for him.
Yeah, and the brakes as well. The brakes, he said, were the thing he was struggling with the most, getting on top of those. So we'll see whether he can perform a little better today. But I think every rookie who comes in knows it's going to be a bit of a learning process.
Which makes Askew's performance in finishing 9th, I think, all the more impressive.
Agreed. De Grassi across the line, he goes 4th fastest. I think that was at full power. So he's gone up into 4th position, 2 tenths slower than Sam Bird, who's on a 1 minute 8.159 at the moment. Jerome D'Ambrosio, the the team principal now of the Rocket Venturi squad after his promotion. And through comes Jake Dennis down the bottom of the track. I think he's being followed by Robin Freitz, who's on a full power run as he comes up the hill. He's 4 tenths down, he's 3 tenths down, Robin Freitz, after the first sector, 6 tenths down after the middle sector.
Yeah, not a great lap so far. He lost a lot of time in the first section, whether it's traffic or not. There's lots of cars on circuit, only 2 of the 22, actually now 3 of the 22 in pit lane.
15 minutes to go. It was Saudi Arabia actually that Giovinazzi had to go to, not Abu Dhabi. I should know because I went there as well, but it all kind of blurs into one really. A lot of desert in the last 3 months. There's Nick Cassidy waiting in the pit lane to head back out. We're at the halfway point of the session. 15 minutes gone. Cassidy 9th fastest currently in the Envision. Verline working it as he comes through 6 and 7 in the Porsche.
He's backed off,
he's backed off now, isn't he? So he was going for it a bit through 6 and 7. Freitz is coming behind quite quickly. Verline's complaining of traffic, so that's obviously distracted him. That Nissan that was ahead. Vern's on a good lap.
Yeah,
so Sims. Da Costa goes 6th fastest. And here is Alexander Sims. 10th up on Bird in Sector 1. We'll see his Sector 2 split here, and he's 2 tenths up now on Sam Bird. Had a beautiful slide out of this final corner in Season 6 when he took pole position for the BMW Andretti team.
He had that double pole position, didn't he? And then won the second race.
The only driver with 2 poles in Diriyah. Into the right and the left of the chicane. Where was that? Oh, was it in attack mode, that Nissan? I think it was. It almost looked like it had come out from like behind the wall at one point. Sims into the final corner, across the line, and he goes 2nd fastest. 0.03 slower than Sam Bird. As the Mahindra squad watch on. Roland made it through to the quarter-final stages yesterday, but made a big lock-up at turn 1. But he's done the fastest middle sector so far on this lap. Lost a bit of time, 2/10 slower than Mortara in the first sector. So
he locked up again, Jack, into 18.
Mortara's now at the top. Gunter is second. Bird is third. And Roland's going to get traffic here with Turvey at the final corner. And we'll see where this puts Roland. It's 6th fastest.
I'm not sure that's the true pace, though, is it? That was a messy lap with traffic, and then obviously the mistake as well in 18. But you're definitely better finding the limit now than in qualifying in a couple hours' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Andre Losserer did well to get into the semi-finals yesterday in qualifying. Finished 4th fastest. Not the same for Sebastian Buemi, as we alluded to a little earlier on. But the pace was there. That's got to be the encouraging part for Sebastian Buemi.
Double yellow turn 11. That's never going to be good.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag is out with 12.5 minutes on the clock. The clock will keep ticking down, and it's Cassidy, and Cassidy's gone in hard. Cassidy is going to be in trouble for qualifying here, and the Envision team are going to have a lot of work to do. The right rear is bent.
Right rear, left front, it looks like. So the big question in any of these shunts for a Formula E team, obviously, is the driver okay? Is the tub damaged? But he's okay, he's signaling. But is the gearbox damaged? And it looks for that sideways hit. It's a big hit. Look, you can see the mark straight, and it's moved the wall. That's a big hit, and that probably will necessitate a gearbox change.
Not good news for Nick Cassidy then. 12 minutes to go. As I say, the clock will keep ticking down. Nick de Vries, 10th fastest at the moment. And, well, often Scott Elkins will try and extend the session. Cassidy is okay. He said he's okay on the radio. Scott Elkins will often try and extend the session, but sometimes it's just not doable because of how soon quali comes around. Okay, here we go with Cassidy. And it's a big slide. And there's the thud.
Yeah, you heard the noise.
Same corner that his teammate Robin Freitz crashed in practice last year, and he had to miss qualifying for Envision.
Sylvain Philippe, team principal, and Envision does not obviously looking impressed. He's probably thinking, right, what has to be done? How are we going to get this car out for qualifying?
11 minutes to go. But yeah, my point was going to be, Scott Elkins tries to extend the session. Sometimes it's not possible, and this could be a sort of quite a long clear-up operation because it's a big hit for Cassidy. So, therefore, a lot of the drivers might not get the running that they want. Yeah, especially if they have to move the wall back. The walls are designed to give a little bit in order to take some of the energy out of the crash. And it looks fairly sizable. Yeah. And if we do get going again, it's going to be, I would imagine, pretty busy. Yeah. So there'll definitely be some hurt feelings out there at the end of practice. Mortara is quickest at the moment. Buemi did finish that lap, didn't he? Yeah, Buemi finished the lap just before the red flag came out. Must have been about 2 or 3 seconds before the red flag came out. And did a 1 minute 7.7. Now, most of the lap times yesterday were in the low 1 minute 8s. Stoffel Van Dorn took pole position. Cassidy climbing out of the car now. The New Zealander. I can't remember him having a shunt so far in Formula E. I might be wrong here, but... I've hit my head too many times, Jack, to remember stuff like that. You see he's checking the damage. I mean, I would imagine steering rack will have to be replaced. Obviously the left side suspension, but steering rack's probably going to need done. And he's getting back in, probably to connect his radio and talk to the team. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we're going to need this, and this, guys. That's how that conversation will go. Yeah. As long as he's probably checking the tub as well. Is the tub okay?
Yeah, Rob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. The chassis is fine on the left front, so it's left front corner, floor, side pods, left rear, but the chassis is okay.
Okay. And also...
Also check the gearbox. Yeah. Yeah, see this, my expertise, experience here comes from crashing a lot of cars and having those conversations. So smart stuff from Cassidy. Rob was Robert Sattler, his new race engineer. Was at Neo, I think, previously, Robert Sattler. Sat behind him on the plane on the way out, and he was on his
on his laptop with all his numbers the whole flight, Robert Sattler.
Engineers work, I mean, every team member, they work so hard. And especially in Formula E with reduced numbers in the garage, and people are doing multiple jobs too.
Made me feel bad for playing Football Manager all the way.
Were you good at it? Were you successful?
Yeah, I'm doing all right actually at the moment. Top, well, fighting for promotion. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. There is the Envision crew getting ready, and that is Robert Sattler, just going out to tell the spares team. So that view you're seeing right there, I had that for 6 hours on the way out. It's the back of his head.
Ah, sitting at a screen. It's
yeah, sitting at a screen. It was that very laptop.
It's amazing how many screens are now in Formula E garages.
Yeah.
The data that is coming in from the cars is just incredible.
There's the aforementioned pride flag on the side of Lucas de Grassi's car. Yesterday, Stoffel Vandoorne's pole time was a 1 minute 8.6, and Mortara today has done a 1 minute 7.6. It wasn't actually the quickest time we had. The quickest time in the qualifications yesterday was in the semi-final. Jake Dennis did a 1 minute 8.379. So it's interesting that the pole time isn't actually necessarily going to be the quickest time.
If you look at Lucas de Grassi, you can see the driver's eye view camera just beside the right side of the helmet, and that's whenever we go on driver's eye, that's where the camera's giving you the view from. As you can see, it's right next to his eye.
Matt has reminded me that Cassidy crashed in Rome last season during qualifying. At that chicane, he clipped the rear, and it broke. He was on a really good lap.
Yes.
Then he just clipped the rear and had to grind to a halt. But that's a bit messy, isn't it?
Too much hanging down. Oh, there's oil. Oh, no, that's the gearbox. You can see the oil dripping.
Here's some cool stuff.
Oliver Turvey. Yeah, watch his hands. Watch as he fights the slide. Look at his head position. That's where he's going to go. But then his hands are sort of correcting, keeping the car to hope for the trajectory that he wants. Sergio Setti camera doing the same thing with the Dragon Penske.
Costa.
You can see he was correcting the slide, but his head was already looking into the next apex as he goes through that series of blind corners, one after the other.
Vandoorne.
You see the car just moving even slow. The suspension just taking care of the bumps, the dampers trying to work well, keep the tyres in contact with the tarmac. There's going to have to be some, look at all the carbon fibre and the fluids on the track. This is going to be a long clean-up, so we might not get going again. You can see the damage to the floor.
I think that's qualifying done, isn't it, surely?
If it's going to be a gearbox replacement, what have we got? 3:30?
You're going to ask me what time's qualifying? 3:30, yeah, so an hour and a half from now to do all 4 corners.
Remember we saw Jaguar, I mean, these teams have all done impressive things. Jaguar rebuilding Sam Bird's car, new car in New York City. We weren't in New York, although you're pretending you were. But that was incredible and so impressive.
I wasn't at the race where Robin Freintz had his big one. Was that an Andretti in Hong Kong? Season,
yes.
So that would have been season 3, I think. So I think he was Andretti then, wasn't he?
Yes.
Absolutely ruined it, and he still got out for qualifying. And he didn't. It was just like a plain white car or something, wasn't it? They didn't have time to put the stickers on.
Yeah.
Gunther 4th quickest at the moment. A strong qualifier in the past, Maximilian Gunther. He has had 4 front row starts. Never had a pole actually. He's had 4 front row starts, but all in second places. No pole positions for Gunther. Andre Lotterer in the Porsche has had 2 pole positions, 52 races, a reasonable point scoring average for Andre Lotterer. He scored, and he would have helped that. He wouldn't have helped that average yesterday as he slid down to 13th place. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Antonio Felix da Costa, the season 6 champion. And this is his 82nd Formula E race. Hasn't missed many. Only the first 2. I think he's been ever present since the first 2 races, Antonio Felix da Costa. 6
Only
wins.
2 drivers having done all the races. Come on, Jack.
That's 199 laps led for da Costa. one more, and that'll be 200.
That's a lot of laps to lead.
It's interesting.
That's
He's got a 6-pole, 6-win ratio, because some of the ratios are wild. Some of them are about 6 to 6. Some of them are like Degrassi has.
I thought that was. This is a turn 19. That's just a new surface. That's not marbles. It's just the paint on the surface coming up a little bit.
Yeah, Degrassi has 12 wins from 3 poles. Da Costa's 6 for 6. Gunter has 3 wins from no poles.
And Buemi?
Buemi is 13 wins from 14 poles. So he's a sort of hit-for-hit ratio.
Yeah.
Da Costa actually, well, the answer to this is Da Costa has, ever since, apart from his win in season 1 in Buenos Aires for Aguri, all of his other wins have come from pole position. What have we got for Jean-Eric Verne then? 83 races of 85, 13 races since his last win.
I hated that stat whenever they used to put that one up. It was like, oh, God, really?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it was quite a big number.
The driver with the most races since their last win is Sebastian Buemi.
Yes.
27 races. The last race of in New York.
409 laps led. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
Double champion. You don't get that easily.
4 fastest laps for Jean-Eric Verne. His first coming in season 1 in Monaco. And he's currently 8th in the championship after finishing 8th yesterday. 9 average points scored.
It's quite strong.
Yeah. And New York last year was the last time he finished on the podium. Right, minute and a half to go on the clock. Red flag is still out, so we're getting to the point now where it'll be an extension or session will not be restarted. Here's Van Doorn's stats, slightly skewed by that first year in the HWA. Last win came in the 2nd race in Rome. He's had, I thought he'd had 6 pole positions, Stoffel Van Doorn. So I'm disagreeing with the telly there, so apologies for that one. And it says his last pole was Berlin, that's why. So yeah, his last pole obviously was yesterday. And 78 laps led for Van Doorn. You also, some of these stats are skewed by especially with Buemi and Degrassi, the first 3 years, now 4 years, you know, since the qualifying groups, it's been very difficult to score any points at all, really.
Remember when Buemi, you would see him, he'd spin in qualifying at certain races and he'd still come through from the back to win the races in those early years. There was a point where he and the Edam's team with the then Renault powertrain was just so dominant.
Dan Tickton.
It's all new for Dan.
Yeah, he got in the fight yesterday at turn 1, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure he made some friends with Antonio Felix da Costa, but you know, they were 5 wide at one point running down to the first corner, Jack, and you could see 5 into turn 18 was not going to go.
That's very true.
Yeah.
10 minutes to go on the clock now, so it looks like we've had an extension. Hopefully the track is nearly clear down at turn 11 after Nick Cassidy's accident. And they're just bringing the car back now. There it is on the flatbed. So before too long, we will get another 10 minutes or so of practice, maybe sort of 6 or 7. And the focus in this moment is going to be interesting, because do you have to focus on 220 laps, 220 kilowatts of power, your regular power, to get into the group stages, to get into the duels? Is that the key? Is that the only real thing you've got to... Because then you're top 8 and you're fine. If you're not in the duels, you're kind of nowhere. So your 250 lap, how far can you get through the knockouts? Okay, fine, let's see what happens. We'll do as well as we can. But the number one thing has got to be getting into that top 4.
I do agree. There's been a lot of 250 lap headline numbers in practice yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, you know, they seem to do that. I agree with you. 220 lap full qualifying run at 220, see where you are, see where the balance is, because I think we saw it with a couple of the cars yesterday. They worked very, very well at 220. They went to 250 kilowatts, full race, full qualifying power, and the balance of the car went away, the balance front to rear.
And look, and I'm not knocking Antonio Giovinazzi. I think it's fantastic. He's in Formula E. Lovely, lovely man, incredibly talented driver. Is there any point in him doing a 250 lap, which we saw earlier on, him trying to do? Like, what is he? Because surely you're wasting your laps doing a 250. In my opinion, I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Again, you've got to let's try and get the objective is to get as far up as you can, and that is getting as far up your group. Even if you don't make it into the knockout stages, you should get as far up in those numbers so you start as close to the front as possible.
Right, here we go. 8 minutes to go, and the light goes green at the end of the pit lane. Robin Freitz lights up the rear tyres here around Flagpole Square. And now they come to the top of the toboggan run. That's what it's actually called.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you just made that up.
No, that's how on the old maps, you put in Flagpole Square and it brings you here.
I live and learn.
Exactly. You don't have to find your own way here, do you?
I'd just go with you, Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, we would go with Nicky.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
Yeah. So
7.5 minutes to go.
Everybody trying to, at this point, trying to get a gap to start this lap.
Buemi and Sims are still in the pits. Sims has just left the pits, and Buemi has just left the pits in a moment, I would imagine. So they have tried to sort of go out last and spread out a little bit and tried to find a little bit of room. So we'll see what the drivers are going to decide to do here. Nick de Vries is going to be first out, as he is going to be all year as the reigning champion, starting at the front of the field.
Yeah, he's got that lovely prime pit position, and his teammate Stoffel van Dorn next to him, and that helps in situations like that. Every time you've got a clear track and you can get on with it. If you're at the other end, if you're the Neo guys, you're generally dealing with traffic. Pretty much anybody from about 3 or 4 garages back dealing with traffic in these situations. 6 minutes 44 to go.
Van Dorn. 6 and 7, and then this is where the crash happened for Nick Cassidy.
And Nick de Vries in qualifying yesterday had a massive save down here. He caught the car a couple of ways. It snapped one way, it snapped the other. And we were talking about it, and he said, yeah, it was pretty good, but you should have seen the other save. So it sounds like he had a pretty action-packed lap in his qualifying duel.
Timo points out that Da Costa also missed Berlin in season 2, which is very true. He had a DTM clash and Rene Rast filled in at the Aguri team. So he hasn't been ever present since the second race. He has missed that one. Here comes de Vries up into 18 and 19. And so some are going to full power here. Bird's turned up to full power, as has Dennis, as has Evans. But I don't think the Mercedes have yet. So are these Mercedes going to sort of try and do a push? But if they're only pushing at 220, are they going to get in the way of the Jaguars, who are trying to be pushing at 250? We'll see what happens. Here we go. We'll go with Sam Bird for this lap as he comes down towards turn 1.
Yeah, we see the car dancing on the brakes. Oh, this is a fantastic camera just behind the right front camera. Look how close he gets to the wall through turn 3. Setting up for 5 now. Just watch this whole section. I'm just going to shut up here and let you hear. Through turn 14 at the bottom of the hill. Interesting, the car didn't bottom out. There's a compression. We see a lot of cars bottom out. The Jaguar did not bottom out there. It did bottom out there. You saw the smoke. Through 16 and 17, back to the throttle. He had to lift just a fraction when he committed. Up the steep hill. Doesn't show quite how steep that hill is with the TV camera. Heavy braking into 18. Watch for the lockup. No, Jaguar stops very well. Great job, Sam Bird.
And he comes out now towards the final corner at turn 21. Evans is behind him on track. Evans 3/10 down on Mortara in sector 1. Bird ends up 7/10 down, so Evans was quicker on that last lap, and he goes up into 3rd place as they come down towards turn 4. Oliver Rowland has just done the fastest middle sector of anyone in the Mahindra. Dennis goes 2nd fastest, and that was on a standard power lap. Here is the aforementioned Rowland, 3/10 up after the middle sector on Eduardo Mortara.
You saw how hard he braked. His helmet went down in the car with the G-forces as he braked for turn 18. Coming to 21, last corner, neat, tidy. Where does it put him?
Quickest, not by a huge amount, only 100th. Lost quite a bit of time compared to Mortara in the final sector, which is that long run up the hill, and then the chicane at 18 and 19. But Roland back to the top, where he finished both of the practice sessions yesterday. So Roland fastest, Mortara second, Dennis third. Here's Antonio Giovinazzi in the Dragon, number 99. Swinging it into the left-hander of turn 1.
Yeah, the car bottoming as it comes through 2. Gets the car rotated and 3 on the brakes a little bit.
His teammate Sede Camara is 17th at the moment. Oh, I thought he was...
You weren't wrong, Jack. You could hear it going wrong just by the tyre screeching.
I thought the sound like he was gone.
Yeah, I think he thought he was gone too. He's just... he slowed down and his legs will be shaking in the car now with a little hit of adrenaline.
The thing is, whenever... On camera, it looked like he was online the whole time, but the sound just... I was convinced a thud was coming.
Yeah, it was the noise of the tyre, but then the noise when he didn't get back to throttle. There we go. Let's have a look. Oh, did he clip the inside wall?
I don't know.
When he got on the marbles, you see the marbles on the outside there, jumping up. Yeah, close one.
Stoffel Van Dorn here. Into 16 and 17. He's on full power, Stoffel Van Dorn, so 250 kilowatts. He's coming up behind Sebastian Buemi in the Nissan, who keeps out of the way. Buemi's turned up to full power as well. Verline has gone quick in sector 1. Van Dorn is 2/10 away from Roland's time after the middle sector, but we know the Mercedes...
That was a bit late.
That was Giovinazzi trying to get out the way, almost a bit of a miscommunication across the line now, and it is 7th quickest for Stoffel Van Dorn. Here's Antonio Felix da Costa, it's Verne coming out of the final corner, and it's quickest for Verne, a 1 minute 7.456. So Jean-Eric Verne in the DS Techeetah to the top of the times, a 10th ahead of Oliver Roland. Mortara 3rd, Da Costa 4th, Dennis 5th. Verline is 3/10 up after the middle sector now, so he's flying. His teammate Andre Lotterer here is in the other Porsche. He's 3/10 away. Verline's now gone quickest, and Lotterer is 6/10 slower than his Porsche teammate. Good lap that from Pascal Verline.
Massive lap. I mean, quarter of a second up on Jean-Eric Verne as we see Lotterer coming to turn 21. Car looks quite good.
Almost into the 1 minute 6s now as Lotterer goes 7th.
You watch the cars, there's definitely more grip out there today. You can hear there's less sliding of the tyre. You can watch the car as it digs into the surface and turns.
Roland across the line to complete another lap. That looked like a push at 220. Then Gunter comes through, and he is 13th. Flashing on the top of Dan Ticktum's car there in the Neo, so I think he's just about to fire one up, as is Sebastian Buemi behind. So here they come across the line with 40 seconds left on the clock. Here's a look at Jake Dennis, the man who finished 3rd yesterday, and just on the exit of the chicane, has had a little brush.
You see him looking in the mirrors. It probably doesn't feel very good. Maybe the steering's a little squint. So
and then a last-minute pit stop, wasn't it?
Yeah, they'll come in, fix that. Got to say, the Porsche pace is good because Lotterer was quickest through the last sector as well. So Porsche qualifying pace is good. Hopefully they found some race pace, which they certainly didn't seem to have last night.
Ian James is watching Nick de Vries go quickest in the first sector.
A bit of traffic ahead for de Vries, so one of the Neos ahead. Dan Tinkton, but he gets out of the way. Great job.
Oof. I got a bit chirpy coming into 15. He said, well, when we spoke to him yesterday, actually, he said, well, you saw my big slide at 6 and 7. I had a bigger one at 15 into 60.
Said that about 2 minutes ago, Jack.
Oh, yeah. I remember you started the story, and then I couldn't remember if you got to the end of the story, because I started thinking about something else. Here he comes now. After the middle sector, he is less than a 10th away from Pascal Verline.
So for turn 15, we always thought it was just sort of a kink. It's really become a bit of a corner. Traffic for de Vries, and look how wide he gets on exit.
Checker flag is out, and so it's only 8th fastest for de Vries.
And he's not going to be happy with the Nissan in front. See Giovinazzi. Every lap Giovinazzi does, he's going to be learning so much. Get him on the track as much as you possibly can.
Down into the final corner. He is a second down after the first 2 sectors. Comes across the line now, and he goes up into 19th place. So matches his teammate Sede Camara there. Sede Camara is back in the pits, but pretty much matches Sergio Sede Camara. Reasonable effort that from Antonio Giovinazzi. The yellow flag is for the practice start procedure that'll happen in a moment. So Verline in the Porsche, fastest. Nigel Beresford on the left, James Rossiter on the right at the DS Techeetah team.
Nigel Beresford, been there, seen it done, it worked for Penske for a lot of years. He's a very smart man, and he's helped guide the DS Techeetah team for a long time.
Well, satisfying work at Porsche. Verline quickest. But well, yesterday was sort of the same story as last year, wasn't it? Where they would qualify well and then slip backwards. And that's what I fully expected to happen in Puebla when Verline was on pole position. But it didn't. He kept it all together. Okay, he won the race and was disqualified, but he did win the race and had the race pace there. But that was sort of the only occasion last season where that was true.
Yeah, and as we've said, the powertrains, the hardware is homologated from last year. It's only the software that can really change. So I wonder how much Porsche had changed over between season 7 and now, and also how much they've changed overnight. What difference they can make today from round 1 last night.
Yeah, they've certainly learned a lot. Again, it was a lot of quick laps in that session. So we'll see what the race pace differentials will be later on today. But we've got the small matter of qualifying coming up first of all in just over an hour's time, or about an hour and a half, I think the group sessions will begin. And today it'll be the odds and the evens. So the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th will be out in Group 1, etc. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 will be out in Group 2 in the championship standings. So it means that De Vries and Van Dorn will be in different groups again. Askew, who's maybe a little bit undecided about which side of the grid he wants to do his practice start from.
We saw his teammate Jake Dennis start from second yesterday, but had a slow getaway. It was more reaction.
I think it was reaction.
A bit of reaction, but then as soon as he hit the throttle, the wheel spin came in, and that was it. The two Mercedes just sailed on past.
He said everything that he expected to happen at the start did happen. He thought, I'll probably get a poor start, and then Stoffel will move over in front of me, and then I'll have to brake early, and then De Vries will come around the outside of me, and that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, quite amusing, Jake Dennis. He's an amusing man.
He is.
You should follow him on Instagram, actually, because he's actually a bit of a disaster in real life.
Most drivers are, though.
Yeah, he was in this apartment, I think in Dubai or something, and he didn't have any dishwasher tablets, so he put a bit of fairy liquid in.
As you do.
Flooded the apartment. He was on the train the other day, going somewhere, fell asleep, missed his stop. And he documents all of this stuff on his socials, so well worth a follow, Jake Dennis. Excellent driver though, and 3rd in the championship standings, only 6th quickest at the end of free practice 3, because it's Pascal Wehrlein and Jean-Eric Verne who are 1st and 2nd. Oliver Rowland is 3rd, Eduardo Mortara 4th, Da Costa 5th, Lotterer, De Vries, Buemi and Freins the top 10, with Evans in 11th position for the Jaguar team. So not a great run there for Jaguar actually, because Sam Bird down in 15th position, both of the Dragons in 18th and 19th. Van Dorn 7/10 away from Pascal Wehrlein. But as ever, the free practice times can be very misleading isn't quite the right word, but not necessarily representative, because a lot of these laps came at full power, whereas the main thing in qualifying is to be quick in 220 kilowatts in about an hour and a half's time. There's the Is that some Flemish chat?
I was going to say, yeah.
I think it's some Flemish chat.
Secret code. Look, Stoffel's still got his pole position trophy on top of his cabinet from yesterday. I wonder if Nick's put his race win trophy up. That would be my move. There we go.
I don't know why I'm still listening in to see if I can. I thought maybe there is the pole position trophy that Diriyah mentioned. So, but it's Pascal Wehrlein who was the fastest in that session. A 1:07.215, fastest lap that we've seen at Diriyah. Not quickest in any of the sectors though. De Vries was fractionally quicker in the 1st sector. Rowland fractionally quicker in the 2nd sector. Lotterer fractionally quicker in the 3rd sector. There is Nick Cassidy, who is looking a bit concerned because I think it's very unlikely he's going to be out in qualifying.
The good news is they got the car back during the session. It wasn't like they had to wait till the end of the session, so the Envision team are working on that car feverishly right now.
Berline, though, still in the car giving feedback. Well, both Mercedes drivers got the fan boost yesterday. And, of course, you can give a vote to your favourite driver at fiaformulae.com/fan boost, or scan the QR code on the right-hand side. Da Costa, Van Dorn, Giovinazzi, Ticktum and Verne, the top 5 at the moment. So De Vries out of the top 5, Ticktum up there in 4th place. It does change a lot from free practice to the race, because Turvey is sometimes up there, but not today. I hadn't really looked where he was in the leaderboard before I started saying that, but there we go. But yeah, Van Dorn and Da Costa are always popular. Giovinazzi as well. What can he do in qualifying later on today? In the final practice session before qualifying and of the weekend, Jake Dennis was in good spirits. Lucas di Grassi looking to have maybe get into the duels that he failed to manage yesterday. Went out a bit early at the start of the session, but it was the 2 Mercedes at the front of the field, nevertheless, being at the end of the pit lane. Everybody trying to find a little bit of space and a gap in the traffic early on. Oliver Rowland was quickest in the 2 free practices yesterday. Nick De Vries won the race yesterday. Rowland ended that session 3rd fastest, actually, so there's still pace in there in the Mahindra. A few drivers were struggling with traffic. Eduardo Mortara came through the field to finish strongly yesterday as they got a double points finish. Big lock up there for Oliver Turvey. That was some of the traffic that Giovinazzi had. That was Jean-Eric Verne going straight on. This was Cassidy hitting the wall down at turn 11. That brought out the red flag. We had another 8 minutes of running once the session got back underway. Lovely view from the wall brusher cam. Antonio Giovinazzi managed to pretty much match Sergio Sede Camera despite that twitch. Jake Dennis had a little brush with the wall, but no one could beat Pascal Wehrlein, quickest in the Porsche. Well, next up is our new dual qualifying format. Make sure you tune in for it. It was a lot of fun yesterday. It's going to be getting underway in an hour and 20 minutes time. Yeah, if you didn't tune in yesterday, you're going to love it. I'm really excited for it. I used to quite look forward to qualifying. Now I'm absolutely buzzed. Antonio Felix da Costa will be hoping he can make it into the duels after a difficult qualifying yesterday. Started the race down in 16th position. And these guys have a lot of work on their hands if they want to be ready for qualifying.